This is James Luxon, delighted to be joined with Lyndon Arthur today. Lyndon, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you, mate. Take us back to the beginning. It's been a long journey to get to here today. Obviously, recently announced on the Saudi card, but we'll get to that at the end of this call. You start in boxing. First of all, your uncle Pat Barrett, was he a big inspiration and a big factor for you to start boxing?
Um, yeah, I would say so. Obviously, when I started boxing kind of late. Probably, I think I had my first fight at 19. Probably walked in the boxing gym at 18. So boxing, I never knew that boxing was something that I was gonna do as a career, kind of thing. I was probably well, I had no idea what I was gonna do. In fact, I had no idea. But and then Pat come and got me one time, and he took me in for a couple of weeks, and we was just chilling and training because I was going through a little bit. I don't know what a little bit of stress with my mom and probably overthinking my brother passing situation. 'Cause obviously, it must have hit me a few years later because I was so young when it happened. I put it down to that anyway. That's what I'm guessing it was. And yeah, Pat just come and got me and took me in the boxing gym. The weights gym, sorry, he took me in the weights gym first, and then he's like, come in the boxing gym. I went in the boxing gym, and then Brian Hughes, the late Brian Hughes, he was the one that kind of said to Pat like he could be good, kind of thing. And then from there, because Pat respected Brian so much, Pat was like, Lyndon, look, you can't. I don't want Brian to spend time on you if you're not going to give it your all, kind of thing, or you're not going to actually try. If you want to carry on messing about and smoking and just doing what you was doing, basically, let Brian know that you just want to keep fit. It's not really a serious thing, and I obviously chose the latter in boxing, and that was it basically. I guess Brian would always put me in with the champions, the Scott Quiggs, the Mike Jennings, Tommy McDonough's, Matthew Wells. We always used to do a little bit Robin Reed, a little bit forward, Matthew Waskin, or even Tyson Fury at times when Tyson Fury was at the gym. Um, yeah, and that was it basically. I just carried on trying, and eventually I got here.
That's it. I will come on to Brian a little bit later. I want to mention you mentioned there your brother. I think you was 10 when he passed, and that was a result of a shooting out in the streets. For yourself, he was 10 years old, but it's still a massive, it's a traumatic thing to happen to anybody at any age. How did that affect you? But also, looking back now, how has it shaped you into the man you are today?
It probably affected me in a sense of you obviously you lose your big role model in life, and your favorite person, your big brother. Um, but I don't know. Like I said a minute ago, I think the trauma part of it got to me when I got a little bit older. I understood more what happened or what was going on, kind of thing. And it does build you. It does build you. It does help you. It's one of them things where it can help you. It can be a blessing and a curse because you 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 fail to understand a lot of things through it in regards to, I don't know, you don't not everything's as serious as everyone else thinks it is to you, kind of thing. So that's why I say it's a blessing and a curse. But I can't. Yeah, it probably did make like eventually make me grow up as a man, and made me into the man I am today, kind of thing. Maybe like you're always trying to better yourself because you don't want to you use that, as bad as it sounds, use that as an example of what not to do, kind of thing. And look, like it's all right living the high life of the fast life, kind of thing, but that's always a risk that can happen. Do you know what I mean? And it always matters obviously a lot more when it happens immediately, that close with your immediate family. You also never believe something like that is going to happen to you until it does happen to your immediate family, and then all of a sudden your world come crashing down. So yeah, like I say, it's a blessing and a curse. It's helped, but it has helped me a lot, and I do think it has molded me into be able to deal with life better.
You mentioned about 18, 19 when you started boxing, you first went to the gym. Your uncle Pat pulled you off the streets, said stop smoking, stop doing this, doing that. I don't know what sort of
Let me
life you.
quickly. When I say the streets, I don't for one second say I was in a gang or I was, I was shooting people and stabbing like that. That was we had friends, we had a bunch of friends, and we'd get up to some stuff. It wasn't like looking for people to kill people and stuff like that. I wasn't in a situation like that. I've seen things like that. I'm accustomed to. I've been around all of that, been around it, but I was never in a gang or so as such, so to speak. I mean, my life is to the ordinary person would be like unheard of. Some of the stuff that I've been through, but then somebody that's actually in gangs, it would be just normal. Understand? So, I mean, that's what's put out there.
Do you think with what happened to your brother, that always kept you on the right track and not going down that path?
Eh, no, I think boxing did that. Boxing did that. As much as I do, you see it as a thing that I didn't. As much as I see it as an example of what not to do, um, until you get to a certain age and you grow up, you mature, you 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 find it like it would have been easy to go into that kind of thing. Boxing dragged me away from that. And then when I mature, you put the both of them together, and then it's like, yeah, cool, right? This is what I'm not going to do.
Is it fair to say boxing, in terms of its made you today, is bigger than a hobby or a career?
To
Because
me,
to you, yeah. So some would say boxing saved people, saved them from going down a certain path. For you, would you say boxing it has been bigger than just a career because it, like you
oh
say,
yeah, yeah, many percent. What would I be doing? I don't know. I didn't. I never liked college. I never liked school. I got kicked out of school. I got kicked out of every college that I was in. Um, just I was never. Yeah, yeah, 1,000,000%. Like without boxing, I don't know where. Maybe I would have went more down towards the path that we're talking. I definitely would have been doing shit that I shouldn't have been doing, regardless of what it was. So 1,000,000% boxing. It's as much as it helped me as well. It I help people around me by accident, and I help people that are watching me by accident. You do become a role model. And I've said this million times, but I'm only doing something that I love, and I'm naturally just a role model to people by accident. I'm not meaning to be. It's just I am, and I have helped. I can give, coming from the estate, coming from just the estate on in Lightbound where I'm from, Moston. There's millions of kids around there. There's millions of kids, and I was one of them at one point, and I believe that if I can give them hope kind of thing if they feel like me or they felt like me at a certain point where they don't like school and they don't like authority and they're going down the wrong path. And then I'm sure that the same way it helped me, boxing can help a lot of people as well. And me being someone that they can relate to also.
you mentioned being a role model by accident and being that example, setting that example. Do you feel any pressure in doing so?
No, no, never pressure, never pressure. I'm still human. Humans make mistakes. Yeah, not everything I do is going to be role model. Look at me, I'm a role model kind of thing. Not everything I'm going to do is that. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm only human, but with the boxing side of things, um, yeah, no pressure at all. I'm just again, look, I'm just doing what I love, and it just happened. I just happened to be a little bit good at it, and it's got me where I've got to.
Talk to me about your amateur career. A lot of highs in amateur career there. ABA finals, World Series of Boxing for Great Britain, Lionhearts. What was your personal favourite moments from your amateur career?
Um, why? Probably winning my first title, national title, probably. Um, And then obviously you get to the ABA. Actually, no, do you know what? Let me lie. The ABA final was the first one when I boxed Buatsi. That whole setup, the whole weekend, um, that was probably the highlight because that was the first time, um, it made me feel like the others were on Sky. They was recorded the interviews with a bit of a face off, I think. you know, when it was within the Echo Arena, we boxed there. You only at the time you only hear of that for professional fighters. Do you know what I mean? So at that time, that was huge. It was a bit of an eye opener kind of thing. And then that's when, after I got the call up for GB and I got on GB, which was what led from that, me getting to the ABA finals there, was what kind of made me think, you know what, I can turn this into a career. Because obviously when you get on GB, they give you a little bit of money. Obviously, the higher you go, the better money you get. But the fact that I was actually earning money from amateur boxing was like, oh, right, okay, well, this might be something I can turn into something like a full-time career kind of thing. So that was the turning point again for the next step.
That ABF final Buatsi mentioned, I think it was about 2014, with all the production and whatever else. Do you look back now and think that prepared you for the big stage you're on now in a little way?
I mean, you could say that. You could say that, but this is probably going to sound crazy, but I always knew that I was going to do something, no matter what it was. No matter what it was in my life, I knew that I wasn't just going to be ordinary. And again, there's nothing wrong with being ordinary, but I just knew that that wasn't for me. I was going to do something, whether it was football. I wasn't that good at football, but whether it was that, whether it was a sport, whether it was being a high time someone, I don't know, but I always knew I was going to be something. So I don't think that any of this is a shock to me, kind of thing, in a sense. Like I don't think I needed to be built up for these kind of stages. Do you know what I mean?
Just look back what you said there. Do you feel like you're fulfilling your destiny right now with your career?
Um, yeah, because I'm able to look. My biggest fear is not being able to give my son everything that he wants, and make my mum proud also, and obviously people second of people around me and stuff like that. But to be able to have a child and to be able to take him on holidays and anything he asks for, Christmas, I get it. To be able to keep a smile on my son's face, is fulfilling. And it just obviously would have been different before I had a son, but no, that's the core basis.
In terms of Josh Buatsi, there's a lot of talk, obviously, about yourself and Buatsi as professionals. People like to see that fight. Is that a fight you personally would like to have as a pro?
Buatsi, yeah, look, with boxers amateurs, he's a great. Look, Buatsi is one of the nicest guys in boxing. Everyone will say that. I always say this every time we speak about Buatsi. When I boxed him in the ABAs, he found me on Facebook and sent me. Obviously, I was upset. I'd won him a lot. I'd gone on like I don't know, 18 win streak kind of thing in amateurs. I'd not lost for 18 fights or whatever it was, and obviously got beat. But he went out of his way and he found me on Facebook and sent me a big long message, just like, yo, didn't get to see you after the fight, blah blah blah. You good fighter, wish you well, and just that to me, that he went out of his way to me. That was my first encounter of Buatsi. Was like, wow. And then obviously I've met him further on, and then I've also been out to America sparring and stuff like that. And he's just an all-around nice guy. But if me and him did ever box, which is obviously would be a huge fight, great fight, I'd definitely be something I'd be open to.
Before we do go back into your pro career, just the last point on your amateur career. You mentioned already Brian Hughes and the people that he's trained, but what did Brian Hughes mean to you?
Yeah, well, Brian probably was as much as Pat was. Brian was probably the reason I actually, because Pat didn't know, not that Pat didn't know, but Pat couldn't see it at the time. When Brian's telling Pat, Brian actually, look, it is what it is. But Brian actually he said to Pat, he reminded me of a boxer called Bob Foster. It's the first time I ever heard of Bob Foster back in the day. And with Brian having that much confidence in me, and like he probably, as much as Pat was, Brian was probably more of the reason why I actually stopped boxing out. One, because I had a respect for him, because he was half like a granddad type figure, kind of father type figure in the gym. You just had respect for him. Like, you just listened to what he said. He always had funny stories. Obviously, he was an older person. And through Pat having so much respect for him, you just automatically had that respect for him as well. And, with him saying I can be good, it was like, You know, like when you like the teacher's pet kind of like, oh, like you look for praise off the person that you actually, you know what I mean? So with him saying that, that I could be good, he's probably the reason why, you know, I actually stuck to boxing properly.
Do you think he gave you a newfound confidence?
Yeah, yeah, because well, yeah, further down the line, because obviously when people telling you good, you just think, oh, you don't really take. At the time, I don't. Let's not forget, it took me a while to. I obviously told Pat like I want to box, but it took me a while to actually stop smoking and stop partying and stop just doing nonsense. So it only after a while I actually become good was like, oh right, I actually get it, and I actually must be good. So and Brian actually noticed it from early, so then it's like because Brian was such a respected trainer, he see me from I mean, I'm talking about when I first come in the gym before I even ever laced a pair of boxing. Obviously, I did when I was younger, when I was a kid, about 5, 6, but like from then, Brian was straight as soon as he see me, like he could be good, Pat. And then when you actually realize you actually are kind of good, and Brian noticed it first, it's like, well, I must be. So you can say that in a sense, yeah.
Moving on to your pro debut, Manchester Arena. Talk to me about the emotions. So first, nerves and pressure. But
Terrible performance, but you know, um, that performance, Pat never wanted me to box on that show. He said, Lyndon, just make your mistakes in a small hall show first. And I was like, no, I'm getting paid. Like, well, obviously I was getting paid like what Eddie earned, like, you know, the matchroom money kind of thing. And I was selling loads of tickets because I was fighting on Crawlerverse. And I was just thinking of the money, like I'm gonna get paid loads of money. And Pat didn't want me to, but he's like, all right, cool, whatever. Supported me all the way. We went and boxed on a show and it's crazy because I've gone from boxing at the ABA final against top guys to then boxing a journeyman who's there to get beat. No disrespect to journeyman, we all need them. And I kind of, it was just a bit of a shock to me that I can stop this guy like in the first round if I wanted to. And it took me to the fourth round to like put him down, and it was like, oh, you could have done that in the first 20 seconds. Do you know what I mean? So I remember not my debut is probably my most happy moment of my one of my most happy moments of my professional career because you only have one debut. But you know, I remember taking a right hand or a jab, and he only and I thought, wow, because everyone was telling me it's different at the pro. And then Eddie was said before, like you good, but you get tired. You know, you've only 4 rounds, but you get tired, and then all that. As soon as I got hit once, and it kind of shook me up a little bit. I was like, oh, that started coming to me, and it was like, wow, and it was just a mad emotional like, little roller coaster in that little minute of things that was happening.
how do you control all those different emotions whilst trying to not get punched in the face and punch them back in the face?
Now or then,
Well, or then and then now. Tell me both, and how's it changed?
then it was just a case of look, it was I don't know. You just to be fair, if I'm honest, I can't even really remember back then. But now I've like I'm near I probably had how many fights? I've had 23, 24 fights, 50 odd amateur fights. So I've had 70 odd fights. My professional career sparred thousands of rounds. It's it just becomes second nature to you, I suppose. And you obviously get nerves. You obviously get fight nerves. You get excited nerves. You go over every outcome in your head of the fight, and you just it's just something you get used to. It's like we look, I'm gonna go in this ring now, and I can shit myself, and I can just go in there and get beat, or I can go in there, I'll do my best and come out a winner. Either way, me and this person are gonna have a fight. I kind of compare it like a one-on-one. You have a one-on-one, and I don't know, you have a fight somewhere, like you haven't got if someone just comes over and says, let's have a fight now, you just got to do it. You know what I mean? Like the way we grew up, it's a fight, and that's it. And I'm going to be the winner, I'm going to be a loser. Either way, you and that person are fighting. And that's just how I look at boxing. Like it's pointless being obviously the being scared, being nervous, sorry, will give you the extra edge sometimes, extra 15-20% sharpness. But at the end of the day, me and this person are still got no matter what anybody says, nobody in the crowd, no trainer can't get in the ring with you, no ref, like we are having a fight, and that's it. And that's just how I look at it.
You mentioned about channeling nerves. Do you get scared though?
No, not scared. I think scared is the wrong word because I wouldn't. If I was scared, I wouldn't get in there. But then, um,
Or do you have any sort of fears at all before a fight?
fear is obviously this fear. This fear is in anything. I can this fear when when I get on a plane. I'm more scared getting on the plane than I am getting in the ring. Put it that way. Yeah, and plane crashes are the least one of the least things that happen. I'm more scared doing that than I'm getting in the fight. Like I said, I've had nearly 70, 80 fights. I'm more used to it now. It's not so much scared. I'm probably I don't know. It's just you're nervous. You get butterflies. You just it's a fight in it. So you go out. As I said, me and this person have to do it now. I'm in the ring. What am I going to do? Get out of the ring and just walk away? No, it's happening. So deal with it.
Talk about the positive emotions from victory. When you've won a fight, do you still have the same happiness now as when you had your first fight, or does that has that grown, or has it got any lesser because you get used to winning?
Um, used to. Yeah, I don't know, kind of thing. It's weird. Winning boxing's a weird sport, and it has many highs, but the lows are crazy. It's mad because even and a lot of fighters, I think I heard Tyson Fury say it the other day, and I've said it forever. You win a fight, and I don't know, it's weird for that next few days, weeks. You feel half depressed a little bit our life as athletes are fighters, and you can go out with your friends and stuff, and you can go and eat what you want now, and you can eat a bit of shit, and da. But our job and our career role is training. So without that, we are at a low point. We train for 12 weeks, 10 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is, and we're building up. The fight's over in half an hour, 30, 40 minutes, an hour. The fight's over. Let's say you're in and out of the ring in an hour. And then it's like, what do we do now? It's actually quite mad.
It's funny you say that because I interviewed Cassius Chaney, American heavyweight, recently. And he said the same. He said after a camp and after a fight, he's a come down until the next time he goes into camp.
Come down is crazy, and it's mad because nobody will even. I've not really heard many. I don't know, probably many fighters have said it, but I've not really heard many fighters come out and actually say it. But I know we all feel the same, 1,000,000%. We it is. It's a mad low. The high is that high, and anything that goes up must come down, and that's what happens. It comes down tenfold, and it's crazy. You just won a fight, and it's like you should be excited, and the crowd, the fans or the supporters or your friends, they think, yeah, you just won, and you're happy, and let's do this and let's go, let's celebrate. And it's like, yeah, you kind of putting a front on.
Do you ever worry about the come down as you approach fight night?
No, never. You don't think about it. It just happens. Well, like me, let me speak on me. Sorry, I don't know about anybody else. I don't worry about it though. It just happens, and it is what it is. Like you kind of get again. I've had so many fights. Obviously, more the pro. You get used to it. You get used to it. It's just one of them things, and you're just like, I'm gonna be in camp again soon. You know.
Take me back to one of your highs, Anthony Yarde, the first fight. Uh, the build up to that, a lot of people were talking about it. Obviously, a big domestic fight, domestic rivalry. Everyone loves Britain versus Britain, and this was probably the biggest fight of your career to date. Talk to me about the build up and heading into that fight first of all.
Yeah, it was. It was massive. It's a bit like you say, everyone loves British fighters, but the thing about that fight was nobody gave me a chance. Obviously, my immediate people and everyone, and I knew I was going to win the first fight. Um, but nobody gave me a chance. So it was crazy and everything. And obviously, it was my first like huge kind of fight. And yeah, it was just I don't know, it was just a mad experience because that was like kind of right. This is where I want to be. This is the kind of fights I want to be involved in. This is the kind of things I want to be around and be a part of. Kind of thing. It was kind of history in boxing, a little piece of history in boxing, you know.
Did you enjoy being the underdog?
I don't really bother me that much. I enjoyed winning after being younger, but actually being the underdog in the beginning, you don't really think about it. You have time to think about it.
We mentioned the highs and the happiness emotion of victory. Would you say after Yard first fight, was you feeling your happiest after a win?
Happy, but it's the same thing. The low is a low again. The low. You've got yeah, you got to do the same thing for the next 10 weeks for another camp. You got to go through it. You just want to, like, you go and celebrate, and then you come back, and then yeah, you do. It's the same every fight. The higher the fight, the higher the low.
Anthony Yard 2, the rematch. I believe your side of things, your camp weren't best pleased with certain things in the build up to the second fight. You didn't really want to have the rematch. You didn't feel it was needed.
Oh, let me stop you there real quick. Not that I didn't want to have the rematch. It's not that I'll fight anybody.
It's
I
more like you felt you deserved your title shot there and then.
old. I was told that. We was told that. But look, it is what it is. Boxing is a business in it, and that's what it is. But if you go back and look at, and obviously not going to do that. But if you like, if to go back and look, you'll see Frank Warren said at the beginning, whoever wins this fight is going to fight for a world title next. Let's not forget, I was the champion going into that fight. And he had a rematch clause. So it's just a weird, mad situation. And then going into the fight, I just thought the fight was going to be easy. I just thought the fight, like I beat him one time, one arm, going to the fight, I'm going to be easy. So he and everyone was telling me, you're boxing. And it's like, you try not to listen to everyone, but subconsciously it's in your head. And it's just like one of them things. And obviously whatever happened.
Just going off that answer there, did you get too gassed up by everyone's comments that you got complacent?
And you try not to, but you just did. Like, this is going to be easy. Maybe he might have done it in the first fight. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but that was my thought process going into the second fight. Subconscious, like, nah, but there's no way you can. And then when I got in there with him, he's punching me, and I'm thinking it's not really hitting me that hard. That's what I was thinking. I remember even talking to him saying, you've got to do this for 12 rounds. This is what I'm thinking, and and because I'm blocking the headshots, and he's just out of nowhere, this one body, and that was all she wrote. But yeah, like I said, I believe it's a bit of complacent, well, a lot of complacency. No excuses. Obviously, you won the fight, it is what it is, but that's what I believe.
Would you, at some point down the line, like the trilogy fight there, just to settle it?
I'm not bothered no more.
Hmm.
I was at first, but if it happens, it happens. It's a big fight, a huge fight. But all of us, me, Buatsi, me, Aziz, me, Yarde, Buatsi, like all like me, there's a multiple amount of British fights out there that are crazy big. You know what I mean? That fight happens, it happens. 1,000,000% I've been hoping to, and I wouldn't turn it down as long as everything was right. You know what I mean? I won't be getting in no situation like I was last time, but I'm not. It's not something I'm asked about anymore.
Your last fight, IBO world champion.
Yeah,
Every fighter's dream is to become world champion, unify, undisputed, etc. Is this the first step to you realizing your dream?
this next fight.
Your last fight,
Oh,
speaking of
that.
the title,
Um, I suppose, yeah. I suppose, yeah. Look, I'm again. I'm not. I'm not. I understand I understand the IBO is not regarded as the WBA, WBO, WBC, IBF kind of thing. But I know it was definitely a step in the right direction. It's got me this fight now, I believe. So, you know, um, definitely, definitely put my foot in the door.
do you, in terms of however you feel about the IBO, do you feel like you're a world champion right now?
Yeah, I am. My belt says IBO world champion. I'm just not the creme, the creme, the creme de la creme of world champions, but I am, no matter what. It'd be in history forever. So
Next step, massive fight out in Saudi. Bivol, first of all, talk to me about how it came around, how you got the phone call, what was said. I'm assuming it was a very easy yes for you to take the fight. Um,
not so much easy, yes. Not so much because obviously you have to. I was weighing up the pros and cons for a few days, and with it being so short notice, and then it's like, you know what, fuck it. It's a chance in a lifetime, and it's fighting on arguably one of the biggest boxing cards in the last 10, 15 years. It's crazy. Um, I get to box in Saudi Arabia. And it's just like, go and take your chance. Go and take your chance. I'm not. I've said it many times in interviews. I'm not going there to make up numbers. Going there to win. So let's go and have fun with it.
You mentioned you had to weigh up the pros and cons. Can I ask what those pros and cons were?
I just, just like I said, just the fact that it's in such a short space, and we fighting Bivol, who's like the elite of the elite of my division, but at the same time, you have to risk. There's no risk without reward. Sometimes you have to just bite the bullet.
Just from me outside looking in, for yourself, in my opinion, it's a win-win situation. Let's say you go out there and you lose to Bivol. People aren't going to be saying that you have lost an opportunity there. You're finished, etc. Because again, probably like the first Yarde fight, people will expect Bivol to win the fight. He will be the bookie's favourite. Do you feel like you've got a win-win situation? Or is it more because it's you and it's your personal and it's your career on the line? Is it different?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It's easy. It's easy. Like I'm a winner. I'm a winner by nature. It's easy to say, yeah, let's go and take the money and blah blah blah. But it's it's win-win. It's win-win. It is when you deep the whole situation, it's win-win.
We've mentioned about the domestic rivals in Britain at your weight division. Beating Bivol will put you in a whole another bracket of potential fights. You're talking
Canelo gonna call him for me.
Canelo Alvarez was a name I was going to say to yourself. This is a potential fight if you beat Bivol, and that's like hitting the jackpot. That's a lottery winner right there. How much does the rewards from this fight excite you?
Monumental. It's huge. It's huge. Not even words can explain how the high of winning this fight will be.
You mentioned earlier on providing for your son, providing for your family. A win here, like I say, the next fight is a jackpot there, and that is going to secure your family's future for a long, long time. That's got to be a motivation driver for you going forward.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Taking every bit of motivation I can get from this. So, yeah, facts.
In terms of the opportunity, I think it's no secret, and you'll admit it as well. It's a big mountain. It's a big task ahead of yourself in Bivol. You mentioned there already how good he is, but in terms of the other opponents and Bivol, how do you rate him? Do you say he is the best out there? Is it Beterbiev? Is it obviously Beterbiev's got Callum Smith coming up.
Take me out. Take the fact that I'm fighting him out of the situation.
Yeah,
I believe so. Beterbiev's a spar. Beterbiev, I'm not like he is what he is. What you see, he is that good. I guess because of the way I box and stuff like that, I just think I'm just gonna favor the better boxer. Take me out of the situation. Let me do that. I favor the boxer in that fight.
And finally, you mentioned there your style. You're the boxer. Bivol is also the boxer. How do your styles gel for this fight?
I think we gel good. I think we make a good fight. One that I'm gonna go in there confident in.
Fantastic. Well, Lyndon, I want to thank you for your time.